How have you been able to be so consistent on this course?
I mean, well, like I'd love to be less consistent and finish higher, but I don't know. I mean, that's just every time I've tried to make good decisions out there, and I've tried to close really hard, and it's ended up being seventh.
We'll open up the floor to questions from the media. Again, please raise your hand. We've got some mics going around.
Julian, from Boston. And I just had two quick questions. How you doing? First one thing I thought was very cool, you mentioned how bowling you were training, and it was like a sort of a simulation or replica of this course. How did that help you kind of, especially down the back half, which you already done before, right? Sort of down the stretch. How did you feel like that training helped down the stretch?
Yeah, Scott and I, who are teammates, ran the same course out in Boulder. So we were able to really simulate, the downhills. So I think that's what helped me the most was the downhills, just to be able to make sure the quads could take that beating and then be able to hit those uphills like we did. But yeah, the latter stages of the race, especially after Heartbreak Hill, I felt like I had so much momentum, and that's what we really practiced in our long runs and workouts, was really trying to really kick it in the last 4 miles and be able to kind of go off of the uphills, like just, very, very float-esque, I guess we could say. My coach is always telling us to float during those last 4 miles, and so that's all I was thinking about was float, float, float.
And then personally, considering where you came from last year, COVID, working your way back to the fall, feeling good. How do you feel about the progress over the, what is that, 15 months ago or so?
Yeah, so I had COVID last year, and so just training wasn't what I wanted it to be. It was fine, it just wasn't where I expected to be last year. I thought I was making more progress in that, but I think all of those weeks of training, I really just reaped the benefits now. So I feel like I'm in a great place now and a lot of momentum now. So just leading into the fall races and into the Olympic trials, I feel like I'm in a good position.
We have a question down here.
John Elliott from MarathonGuide.com. First, I want to congratulate both of you for a great race. Question for Emma. For quite a lot of the race, you were actually leading the whole pack and the whole race, including up the hills. Is that something you just wanted to do, or were you concerned about the pace and wanted to push it?
Yeah, that wasn't part of the plan at all. My coach told me not do that. He really wanted me to kind of focus on that second pack and kind of let the top girls, battle it out and then kind of counts in the end. But I just felt so good the whole time, and I got to mile 20 and was still in the lead, and I just looked at my coach who was at mile 20, and I was just like, I guess I'm in the front, and so he's like, just go for it. So I think just kind of instincts took in, and that's where I was, and it just felt right today. So I went with my gut, and that's what it took me to do.
All right, Edgar from Treximo Media. Specifically, I want to ask Scott this question. It seems like you have a very special relationship with Boston. You've had great success in Boston and its course through it as a lead, and now transferring teams to kind of Team Boss and having great success now. It seems that you often practice the sort of virtue of patience. Oftentimes you see the lead packs kind of always rip away from you, but you kind of always focus on your own race and find very big success that way. Have you ever thought or considered maybe perhaps for next year kind of going with that lead pack now that you're very familiar with this course, or you could still consider it kind of run my own race, I will find great success that way?
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have gone out with that pack, but they were too fast. Most of them blew up. Even Eliud Kipchoge blew up. I almost caught him, and I got positive split the race. So, I mean, I don't know that I was that patient. I just knew that going out in the 62s, and I think they went out in the low 62s, was going to be bad. It was going to be a bad decision. So I still went out like the fastest I've ever gone out in a marathon, and I was slowing down to that. So I went out. I was like very fast through 10 miles, through 10K, and so I would love to not be considered patient, but I can't go out in 62 minutes in a marathon. So. I have to make good decisions for me on the race day, and today that was being in the second pack and really trying to hunt that last half marathon and having faith that I was going to be able to run people down. And it took a lot longer than it usually does. I didn't start catching people really until like the last mile, but No, I want to be able to go out in the front pack. I really do. I promise you. Like, I know that's the only way to win this race. It's the only way to be on the podium. You can't backdoor it. But at the same time, like, I know what I can't do, and like going out in 62 minutes is over my head.
Question for Emma. During some of the parts of the race, we could see you kind of drifting off to the sides, either right or left. Was that kind of just to stay away from kind of the tightness of the pack, or kind of just to let kind of some of the front runners know it's like, hey, I'm still here?
Well, some of the time they just weren't running the tangents, so I was kind of on my own doing that. But also, I think are so used to running in a pack, and I'm really not. I typically find myself in no man's land, so I'm running by myself, so I get a little claustrophobic, but also they run very tight, and I don't. I kind of run all over the place, and I'm not very good at running in a straight line, so I was just like, I'm just going to remove myself so I don't end up tripping anybody, and then they can kind of see the road ahead of me.
This is Julian. Scott, just a quick one. When you look up, like you said, the front pack's on the board's low, and you see like, that's good chunky up there. Like, do you even have time in your head to say like, oh, what just happened? Or do you have to just kind of keep having to do your own thing?
No, I didn't like notice that it was Kipchoge ahead of me. I was like pretty locked in a battle until like 80 meters to go, so I was kind of focused on winning my group and trying to finish as high as possible, and I didn't realize that it was Kipchoge until afterwards.
Hi, this is Mallory from Runner's World. I had a question for Emma. You had talked about how you don't normally hydrate before the race, and I saw you were taking mostly gels on the course. So was that your strategy through the race too, just focusing on that nutrition?
Yeah, just the gels. So I attach my gels to a water bottle, but that's just an avenue to get my gels. I don't drink any water. Just the gels you can.
Awesome. And can you talk a little bit about what your recovery will look like for this day, and how many, if you'll take days off, or what that will be like for you?
Yeah, I was hoping somebody would have a Modelo for me at the finish line, but that didn't happen. So I'm going to find one of those pronto. And then taking a full week off, I'm actually going to London. Our teammate, Don Scott, sitting next to Scott Fauble. So we have Don Scott running the London Marathon, so I'm going to go there and cheer her on as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
This is Tom Darian from Northern Runner. Emma, you've lived and trained in many different places. What are the relative pluses and minuses of the various places you've lived and trained? And at 6 miles, who are you blowing kisses to?
Yeah, I was blowing kisses to my friends at mile 6. They were out there with some signs, so it was good to see them. A lot of them from Boulder, some of them from Boise, some of them from Boston, actually at mile 6. So I've trained in all the B states or B towns, so Boise, Boston, and Boulder. Boise was great. There's endless trails there, but it's not quite altitude. Boulder has great altitude, great training out there. And then Boston, it just has the atmosphere. I didn't marathon train when I was here in Boston, but there's so much history here, and going to like Battle Road and running the Charles and running, even the Newton Hills was something that was really special. So to be able to come here again and kind of, have it as a homecoming and run the back side of the course that I used to run all the time was really, really cool to do, just because I never saw myself in this position, especially when I was on the BAA. I didn't really see a future in my running career to be at this level. So to be, not only top American, but top in, the Boston Marathon is something that I'm going to hold close to my heart for a long time.
Do we have any final questions for Scott and Emma?
Emma, on Friday, you were so confident. I don't know if talk to someone that confident. You were in the shape of your life, but then to find yourself in the lead pack at mile 24 of the Boston Marathon, and you just said you never kind of expected it. How exciting was that? And what was it like mentally to think that you had a shot to win it with 2.5 miles to go?
Yeah, like I said, I was at mile 20 looking at my coach I don't know what's happening, but I guess we'll go with it. So it was really surreal for the longest longest time. You know, I got to halfway, and that's kind of like when, you know, things get really hard, but it wasn't getting that much harder, and I was still, you know, kind of pushing the pace and finding myself in the lead, and that was unexpected because I thought I was going to be chasing people down. But yeah, I expected myself to be in the top 5. You know, I expected to put myself into contention to win, so that wasn't a surprise that I was able to be as far up there as I was and to run the time that I did. But it's always, when it comes to fruition, it always is like a big deal, and so I won't take it for granted, that's for sure.
All right, thank you so much, Emma and Scott. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.